Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the 5 greatest Berg recordings. Oh, yes. Now, we've covered the other members of the Second Viennese School, and a lot of you have come up with really, really good lists, which just tells you how many fine recordings there are of that music, which just tells you just how fine a lot of the music is. Sure, I mean, some people say it's great because of some sort of, strange obligation to pay obeisance to, the German tradition and all of that stuff. But the fact of the matter is, these were great composers and they wrote amazing music. And Berg is the most popular of the 3, easily, because he was primarily a composer of vocal music, a guy who did operas, and great singers have sung his music. And that counts for a lot. What really matters actually is who does it. And it's an unfortunate fact for me anyway, because I love composers, and I think they are the more important of the performer-composer duality. But people follow performers, and there's no getting around it. So if great performers do your stuff, you're in great shape. If they ignore your stuff, you're doomed. It's really that simple. Where would Delius be without Thomas Beecham, right? And it just goes on from there. Dvorak was dying to have Joachim play his violin concerto. He never did. As a result, it's taken until like the past 20 years for the piece to really catch on with violinists. It can make a huge, huge difference if a great performer takes up a work right away. It was Joachim who popularized Beethoven's violin concerto. That's just the way of the world, of course. And Berg has always had his exponents among the great and glorious. And here are some of their best recordings of Berg. Well, actually, it's the best recordings of Berg, without question. The 5 greatest, starting with 3 pieces for orchestra and the string orchestra arrangements of movements from the Lyric Suite with Karajan and the Berlin Philharmonic. Now, a lot of you mentioned bits of Karajan's Second Viennese School box, his 3 or 4 discs of that stuff that he did at his own expense after billions of rehearsals. It was a project of extraordinary commitment and excellence. Really superb work. And the 3 pieces for orchestra and the Lyric Suite, I think, are 2 of the best in that series. And they're certainly the greatest Berg recordings out there, among the greatest Berg recordings out there. They're so much fun. The 3 pieces for orchestra are amazing. It's basically all the nightmarish elements of Mahler's Sixth compressed into one piece. A really fascinating piece. It does have a hammer in the finale, like Mahler's, a sledgehammer, although lots more hammer plunks than Mahler did. Oh, it's terrific stuff, and Karajan's recording still sounds magnificent. Next, Wozzeck, the opera. I remember when I was doing, Making Music Your Own. Remember that? The textbook for music appreciation, back when schools actually taught music appreciation. And one of the things they talked about was Wozzeck at some point, or at least in some textbook that I had. Maybe that wasn't that one, but it was one of those. And we actually listened to Wozzeck in class, movement by movement. Well, it was act by act, but the acts are divided up into sort of independent structures. There's a symphony, there's a suite, there's a thing for one act that's, a bunch of variations. It's just such a brilliant work. And we just loved it. We loved it. It's amazing just how fabulous some of these pieces are if no one tells you that they're atonal and they're supposed to be difficult. It's a gripping, tragic story. The concluding pages are some of the most heartrending pieces and all of heartrending moments in all of music. It's just incredible. And the recording we listened to was the Böhm recording, because that was the one that was available. Metropolis's was existed, but it was in mono, and it was out of print and all that stuff. But Karl Böhm live, fabulous performance live with Dietrich Fischer-Dieskau and Evelyn Lear in the lead roles, and it has retained its luster to this day. It really has, no question about it. Next, Jessie Norman singing Berg Lieder. She was a Bergian. I mean, she really was. She did a lot of Berg, and she did it incredibly well with her magnificent, rich voice, just floating over the notes, with Pierre Boulez on Sony. She was young. She was in fresh voice. She had Boulez telling her what to do. And wow, what a great Lieder record that is. If you don't know Berg's Lieder, they're really marvelous. I mean, you should give them a listen. The Altenberg Lieder and some of the others are just beautiful, beautiful pieces. And Jessie Norman is a force of nature in that music. It's a gorgeous, fabulous record. Number four in our five, the Violin Concerto. Now, of course, the Violin Concerto is an absolute classic, and all the great violinists do it, and most of them have done a very good job with it. For me, the bigger problem is the accompaniment, not the violin playing. Violinists seem to just take to the work. It's so, so beautiful. I mean, the first movement has wonderful, wonderful melodies. Yes, it is dum ba da 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 da. You know, it's a lovely piece, and it's actually structured. Its tone row, if you want to call it that, is based on the open notes of the violin. There's something just inherently string-worthy about it, and violinists have always recognized that. The finale, particularly after that volcanic climax in the middle, has that gorgeous adagio that begins with a solo violin where the orchestra finally just swallows up, the solo instrument. And it's supposed to be, of course, a threnody to the memory of Manon Gropius, who was Alma Mahler Gropius Werfel's daughter, who died of meningitis. And Berg wrote this piece in her memory, and it's just an incredibly moving work. So it's the violinists are fine. The orchestral people, they don't often realize all the color and expressive variety that's in the score. I think sometimes they're just too busy trying to keep track of it all. In any case, Frank-Peter Zimmermann on Warner with Gelmetti conducting, who's really a fine conductor of contemporary music, and it's an amazing performance. It really is. From the moment I first heard it, I said, this is the Berg Violin Concerto. And I'd heard a lot of Berg violin concertos. So this is definitely a great, great performance. And if you haven't heard it, you really owe it to yourself to listen to it. It's absolutely amazing. And last but not least, certainly not least, Lulu. Lulu with Teresa Stratas and Pierre Boulez in the completion by Frédéric Serha. You have to hear the whole thing. You got to hear the whole 3-act version because Berg finished it. He just didn't orchestrate all of it, but he basically finished the whole opera. And it's possible to figure out what he wanted pretty much because there's also the Lulu Symphony, which has the final scene. There's a lot there. And it was only Berg's widow, Helene, who refused to allow the work to be completed and performed in its 3-act version. But when it was, of course, Boulez, who got a chance to do the premiere, and it was Teresa Stratas, one of the greatest singing actresses of the 20th century, who just launched herself into the title role and into operatic history. Absolutely. So there you have it, the 5 greatest Berg recordings. Please let me have your selections. I know this is going to be interesting. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.